What's going on, everybody? I have tore my car apart. I have a lot, not really a lot, but I have some stuff to cover in this video, and kind of want to show you what I've been doing as I look at this mess over here and stuff. Um, but let me give you a quick peek here. So I have tore down my car from the manifold all the way down, um, and all my parts kind of sprawl across the tables back there. What I'm basically trying to do here is redo the fuel system. I want to put um, the bigger injectors, 1300 cc's, which I already did. Not in that previous video, I think I went over that. Um, in this case, I'm making multiple videos and then I'll put them out there. I'm just trying to get everything together. So we're gonna go with the bigger injectors. I already have the injector dynamic fuel rail, top version feed kit, so I had to buy the special ones for the Subaru. Which I wish I would have known about that, but that's my fault. Running all new Dash 6 AN lines everywhere, except for obviously the tank to the front of the engine. I'm not doing that part yet. That's another small project I'll jump on. So we're going with all new AN lines, air motive fuel pressure regulator that has Dash 6 lines on that. We'll run that all the way around. We'll get rid of everything OEM in the front here. What else? Fuel pumps being upgraded. So I'll be doing the AEM 340 liter per hour, upgrading from the Walboro 255. I'm pretty sure I'm maxing that bad boy out, and that may be not disclaimer, but that may be part of the reason why I was having issues with fueling and running really rich. I think that fuel pump was running out, plus the fuel pressure regulator might be maxing out as well. The reason I say that is when I look at my logs, I'm at 90 psi for my fuel pressure, which I'll go into later when I do the tuning side. But when the pressure is that high, you actually lose pressure because it's to the injectors. It's a weird way of explaining it, but I'll have a better way of explaining it later. So we're doing that. We're upgrading that side of it. Since my TGV deletes, I said that right, are both being used by the fuel pressure sensor and by the I'm lost for names right now, the ethanol content sensor. I'm going to use the rear O2 sensor to hook that wideband AEM gauge up. So I'm going to be getting rid of the rear O2 since I'm catless. It's not really that big of a deal. I did hear, and I do see some things online about you having some issues during idle, cruising and coming down to idle, that people say for a good 10 seconds or so the front has to make adjustments all by itself, so it takes a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds or so. So you might sit at like 13 AFR for 10 seconds every time you idle down. So I might use a little bit more gas. I'll have to verify that and get through that. So the other thing is here, I'm going to be getting rid of this guy. I'll give you a few seconds to guess what this is, but this guy here. This is part of the evap system. If you're looking at, clean up my mess a little bit here. If you're looking at the throttle body, and this is from the bumper looking into your car, this hose right here basically houses this guy, and it sits right here, and the other part goes into your intake, and then this part will run all the way through here, in my case to, let me see if I can fix that, there we go, run all the way to the middle hose and the fueling. So all over here you have your return line, you have your feed line on the bottom. In the middle, in my case, you have your evap line. So I'm going to be plugging that off, or basically, well, not plugging it, but letting it go to the atmosphere. I'm not going to be getting rid of the rest of the evap system. The other thing is too, this is a IEG AOS. This is the comp series. As you can see, it dumps straight to the ground. IEG does recommend that I switch this guy to the Street series. Basically, from what I'm understanding, is the crankcase has ethanol that kind of sits around, and you need it to move. During idle, you're not necessarily pushing that much crankcase ventilation. It's kind of doing itself. So that ethanol may sit there and mix around and it dilutes the oil. With the stock PVC system, you're using vacuum to constantly move the air through it, if I'm understanding that correctly. So I've already emailed IEG to make sure that's something I actually have to do. If I can just leave it like that, since I do my oil changes pretty much every 1,500 miles. But we're waiting to hear back from them. And if anybody knows anything or a way of doing this, I haven't seen much on it. This is the power steering system. I do want to keep the power steering system, but this hardwire, I don't like it. It's annoying. It has to go over the intake when it plugs into this guy. And there's some issues with it. So I was just thinking about what I can do with this. If anybody has any ideas about how I can replace this hard line with a soft line so I can route it better. But that's fine. And this little guy here, my you are just not gonna focus, are you? My little Rashi turbo. This guy's done me good. My little eBay turbo. Hopefully it'll last a little bit longer, and we'll get you a proper setup. So aside from that, there's the wiring harness for the engine bay. I went through and coded everything so I know exactly what I have, and now I'm using half the sensors down there, or the plugs. Piping's good. All these guys will be plugged off, and that's pretty much it. I do have a set here of 1050X injectors if anybody needs them. These are specifically for the 04 to 06 because of the top V conversion. From what IEG basically stated, I believe it's these little O-rings right here. They're special. They're actually like 0.5 millimeters bigger to fit the stock TVG. I got them right here. The stock TVG holes on the 04 to 06s. That's why you do their special conversion kit. But if you just go with a regular IEG or some other company TVG things, you don't need to worry about buying these special injectors. Price wasn't the same. There's no difference in price. They're not getting you on that, so that's cool. Injector Dynamics didn't do that. And there's a lovely 13Xs just sitting in there waiting to be used. That's pretty much it. We'll be relocating the whole ethanol system somewhere better suited for it. I think the plan is to mount their fuel pressure regulator right here, and then I'll have probably, the feed line will come in and it'll split off to both sides and then return back over that way. That's what I'm assuming the way it'll go. So we'll clean this up a little bit. Engine bay, that's what I'm going to do now. I did buy an iWire Services, or iWire, I forgot their website name. I did buy a kit from them for the hardwire for the fuel pump. So along with the AM fuel pump, I'm going to hardwire it. I bought their whole kit. It's a little expensive, $250 for a wiring kit, especially when I literally have, let me pull this up right here. I literally have a proper relay. If I'm not mistaken, these are 30 amp relays. Yeah, 30 amp relays. So these are proper water sealed 30 amp relays. This is all you really need, and I have plenty of wiring. So I actually could do it all myself. Worst case, Denchworks or the DW, they sell a kit for like $60 or something like that to do it. But iWire Services, they make this kit so clean. They use their own parts for it. All the wires are sleeved properly and protected, and it's plug and play. There's no soldering, and I really like what they do, so I went ahead and bought it to support them, even though that was like a unnecessary extra purchase there. It's expense pretty much, but that'll make it so much cleaner in the end of the day, and it'll be good there. So that's the next thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start tearing out the interior a little bit so I can run everything, and we'll go from there. So I don't have the parts in yet to do all this work. I literally just ordered it a day or two ago, so there'll be a little gap in between the video, and I'll start the process of getting everything installed, and we'll get back to you. So I'll see you guys later. Alright, so I'm back in the garage again. Another day of work is done. Car parts are in, and I'm happy. So, quick recap, we're redoing the fuel system here and adding in a few extra parts. So let me go ahead and show you what we got going on. Alright, so I ordered a bunch of parts from Jegs. They were the best price when it came to what I was looking for. So 10 feet of dash 6 vibrant hose. I have the box somewhere else, but I started looking at things already. I was kind of excited. We got some engine assembly lube, Earl's engine assembly lube. Basically, from what I was reading, you want to put some kind of lube on the lines when you put them together, especially when they're going into the hoses. People use this without any issues, plus it's good to have some sitting around. These were like $1.50 quick disconnect tool set. I didn't have any, and this has all of the different ones, and it looks smaller than the other ones that I've seen, so I picked this up anyway. I did need to get some. We have our quick disconnect fuel lines. These are actually really awesome. Let me see if I can. Here, I got one right here. Let me set this up. These things are pretty cool. So, looking at this guy here, right? This is the fuel pressure sensor. Ethanol sensor. So, I'm gonna kind of show you what it looks like before. There goes my door closing on me. Forgot to lock it. Okay, so ethanol sensors here. I kind of want to show you guys what this quick disconnect looks like. So you got your piece here, and you have your quick connect piece here. So there's two ways to do it. You can obviously put this guy back inside where it belongs, and then all you gotta do is slide this on, and it clicks. The great thing about it is that obviously there's no room here to stick in your quick disconnect tool. It's just not going to work. So what they did, good old Russell's, is if you pinch these two blue pieces and pull, it disconnects. That's freaking awesome right there. This is a little bit of a pain to take off. You got to use like a flat head to make sure that these little spots, if this will focus, these little spots here will lift up. But otherwise, this is great. This is gonna be really easy. There's the other ones that actually, when you put this together, there's another black aluminum piece that twists, and this inside part's threaded, but they were like $5 more each. So this works perfect. So next few things that I picked up, of course, is the Aeromotive A1000. I think this is, yeah, the 13109. You can see it there. This is the dash 6 all around one, so I picked this guy up. We got the orb fittings. These will go into the fuel pressure regulator. We got some basic lube, thread lock there. When you buy the Aeromotive, it does come with a gauge. So I guess what Jegs did to kind of keep that flow going is they included their own gauge, but still a free gauge. It's like $60 or so, probably more. We got some 90 degrees here. I went with all Jeg stuff mostly just because it was cheaper, and I'm sure it's good enough quality for what I'm doing. Should be just fine. And then this guy here, it's magnetized, but basically it comes together. If I can actually hold it, and it holds the AN lines where you put it in the vise so you don't scrape them up. That was kind of cheap too. And then of course the most expensive thing here is this cool tool. It's like $80 for this guy, but this little piece makes putting together your lines super easy. I've watched enough videos on it to see that it was worth it, but they just fit in here, close it up, put it in your vise, and you can screw everything in. So that's what I picked up. Another day done, back in the garage, plenty of parts and stuff to put on the car. So I got me a package in from Jegs, and we got all our goodies that we need. I bought pretty much everything you could really get for doing your AN lines here. Just all the good stuff. You got the assembly lube for the putting them together. I picked up the cool tool kit. A little expensive, but this makes putting together all the pieces together. You can look this tool up. It's better to explain it online. I don't want to go through that part of it. Dash 6 all around, so we got some 90s here. Aeromotive fuel pressure regulator. This is the A1000. You can read the number down there on the bottom. This is a dash 6 all around. A bunch of hoses. We got quick disconnects for you. I'll show a picture of that. If you drop all the pieces. We got some quick disconnects here for the ethanol sensor. These are Russell quick disconnects. What I like about these is that they disconnect by hand. You don't need to use a tool. You kind of just pinch these two blue pieces here, and they come apart. And then I got my cheap, janky, which I'm probably gonna end up repurchasing. This is the 1/8 NTP adapter for my fuel sensor. I'm not a fan of that thing. That was kind of a cheap Amazon buy. It didn't come out so well. And then we got some quick disconnects. I didn't have any of those. Alright, so things didn't go exactly the way I wanted them. It's not a bad thing. It's just the way I planned it. They didn't actually end up going that way, which is fine. It's actually the first time I've actually deviated from a plan that I wanted. So I took the car and did it in series, and I think I talked about that previously. So this is going to be the same clip video, a bunch of stuff come together. But series is the way I'm going to do it, and because of doing it series, all that stuff I just bought from Jeg, or at least 80% of it, is pretty useless. Now I did use that cool tool, and I've used some things. I did have to make a hose. Which hose? So the actual fuel, the feed line here, that runs to the first number 4 piston side fuel rail here. I created a hose there just because I needed it to be straight lines. And I did add in, you can see right there, that fuel pressure regulator. So that guy is, fuel pressure sensor. That is put right there in the middle, like a union or whatnot, with a 1/8 NTP. I did use, just because I went and looked up online and checked on the website, sorry for random stuff, this is Jeg's thread sealant. Okay, this is like white color. It's PTFE, if I'm saying it correctly, non-toxic, blah blah blah, and everybody says it's safe for the fuel. They actually give it to you specifically for making AN lines, so it'll be there in the AN lines. So I used it sparingly and carefully. Luckily, I'm going to let it dry for like the next 24 to 48 hours, because the car's not even going to be done until I get the rest of the parts in. So let's talk about what I've done, what I did. So like I said, we're starting here from on the GD 2006 STI. The bottom line, there's 3 lines here. The bottom line is your feed line. That runs to injector, or to piston number 4, from the driver's firewall side. Starts here. My fuel sensor, or fuel pressure sensors there. We then run to the front of the car, driver's side. We crisscross to the back, passenger rear side, passenger firewall side, and it just keeps doing this blurriness. And then we come to the front passenger side, and then this is where you'll see right here, connecting into my fuel pressure regulator. And on the bottom of the fuel pressure regulator, which we can barely see, you see that little silver thing here, that guy will run and loop underneath my front mount intercooler, and then it'll go right into the Cobb ethanol sensor. So this will be on the return side, and I couldn't find a better way to mount this, really. This was the previous place it was. Now this guy, I went through several ways, several pictures, lots of research online to see what other people have done to mount this. I really wanted to put it there by the pitch stop. Go ahead and focus, there we go, by the pitch stop, but I couldn't find a way without actually having to drill into the firewall here, which is what I wanted to avoid. So I think this will be fine. I've seen other people use it here. There's plenty of companies that make brackets to make fuel pressure regulators mount there anyway, so that seems to be a commonplace. Down the road, when the engine goes and I rebuild everything, we'll come up with a better solution then. For now, it'll be good. My only concern is, and I think it'll be fine, because if you look from cross to cross, it does stick up a little high, but I think we'll be fine. We'll be okay. So without that, most of the stuff is put together. I'm just going to tidy things up. I did remove all that nonsense evap stuff here. That's what this little blue guy is. Little thing that I do, I put blue zip strips on everything that I've touched when it comes to hoses. And then when I work on the car again, I'll put a different color so that I know what I touched and I know what to look for. It's a cool little trick that I learned, that I've tried doing, and it's worked out for me. So the evap stuff was gone. There's nothing left there. I routed the hose. I wanted to route this hose above this guy so it's not running on this this coolant line for the fuel guy here. But I didn't have a choice. I had to run it on the bottom. I just lifted it up. These plugs here, these guys will generally run along with the other, this spot here. They'll generally run through there underneath the coolant tank here. In this case, I pulled them out just because I didn't want so much stuff in there by the fuel rail, and I didn't want it to cause so much heat. I mean, there was so much already compact in there, so I pulled this out, and I'll just run it down here underneath. It may look a little ugly because there's a hose kind of being seen, but it will mount right up here just fine. Talked to IEG. They finally responded back to me on the comp series. Very scientific approach and educated approach to their response was, do what you want. You can you'll be just fine with the comp series running ethanol. I said, okay, cool. The other thing is, I forgot, or I didn't pay attention when I ordered the quick disconnects. These guys are 5/16, not 3/8. I just didn't pay attention. It was my for not paying attention. So right now I'm using the ones that Cobb gave me, the white thing right there. The one that Cobb gave me, and then I'm just running the hose itself. So it's not a big deal. It's not a problem. That's about it for now. I'm gonna get some more going. New batteries coming in tomorrow. Be like a race battery per se. Give me some more space there, and yeah.